I just want to remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation, which we call bodhicitta motivation. That is the altruistic aspiration, seeking complete enlightenment for the sake of all other sentient beings. At least we should contrive that kind of bodhicitta motivation and participate in this Lamrim discourse on the stage of the path leading to enlightenment by Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa. To give you the blessing of oral transmission, I'm going to read about a couple of pages from this Lamrim Chemo, the great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment, volume number 2 in the English translation, page 188, followed by explanation.
中北点的上，张北小张碰到地界心不公。地界中北到也能承受头个，咱们到这个界没接了平等的我现在想去叫我没得那个想去界没得界。信仰我上业界的人的不得他的上业的学不懂，忙不懂，上学我是我对他讲。这些这个那么这把没也打着我小可那呀了，老我学到这些那上街吧，我叫我娘的上，学不高的我工作真来我讲究我别人的第一也我这就到我这边上街，看到我不上街，我做不上街我得到这我看到。我不是上叫我呀，得到等我看到我不上叫我去，我得到就随得我找我了，得到找我的，真这做不上，我不做不上叫我不做不上叫我就是说些叫我那地些我得到这地些我叫我下到了，我不做不上叫我满意。那今天讲那没有让做为享受。我不做不上家我呀，我是叫我新鲜东西，怎么给种出的新鲜东西了，没有种出也那个讲的，这路别多些导演的他也不对我来讲，空数了，那个这些个空把我你把他讲。第现在没那个的东中国些地理这两个人这样，但也没嘛些。到了没有机会，他我想把这接吧那些说什么接我的上去，有的他也什么这不拒说什么南极这有的那个我他也把你对吧？中国大员那个把刘伯承可能你让的我那么什么叫我印象上去用的，他也把的，年龄就是用的就啥什么的讲的当，普通些比如中央的那么就和我去叫了这个说那他就现在什么把的没叫。为什么说为什么说见没有我也上大面积，南京都是那个月把你买你过，他是月讲上个拉住了马浪呗，拉了这些给这边来把人的让那个拉住都管那，南京我就吃让什么这个旅长。旅程上，这地方那么这怎么可能水女生里边不弄些了，现在现在讲看老年没有，比如说是比较跟变没了，老送你们熊抱怎么没有？他是去了不是从让没什么的让去的说啥子先不让门都过了不是从那，什么的其实从年前送的现在没把那么的特别差了，什么搞的上去知道了我刚来的时候我当过来的我大概门说年的在上去东呢说各地。这不能老嘛就把我让个了，对吧？让可不我你可那我理解我当个车我的，不管他什么了，说别等个就里面的我用了我在这让这样让给多么这些上去一切都搞这边等个了，等于俺们吃怎么样没了吧？让些东这边各个样切为些问题，刚才说不。当过的你们这些那这等样我们今年这等样我们这不是，我别的年纪不是些给我写我什么的连长怎么接我当五当三当，西九街上就大把名叫做大概上就这把一等人的呢。 Dungen de ne ye de de sungu kong la de kong la nung sel sher le ma de be dungen je me ba gun ja so je me de wa ne ti si ne de me si je dungen mang bo da shum jir de me da wa shum me da wa me de shung sui xia xie so lun de lu dong de tang bo ne me ji bi zhe me dong ge yin ba le zhen jie la bi rang lu la wa sha ba lo jing yin xie xin bo dao jie bi zhe tong xin ba le juan na dong ye tu ne tu de ne gao me de sui ji pe ba de ro me ba shou ge man zhe de 초가 시든 jamboye ni jin ba mi so je suma lo zo jin bang jin to ma jo je te lo gong ni chi ni ren je rang ge sha ya da gang ze rang lu la ni chu so da wu lo je ba te je sha lo te je sha lo so dong a te la gao ji ye je so 다 hinzumde kizan ti insari delas da konji zundu shida zambe somse da gilo wa da nam shumbe le de kaya de ke zundu zambe de karasa zundu de zambe peyon si mazme ni ene kar zundu ra ye zundu shida zambe chusum do da zundu ki peyon de kizan de karasa zundu ke ni karasa lungjo ji mebum sa do kizan mebum sa shinge ti no sha me phung me re me pham re sha 저 존주 얘기가 능주 메부스에다 태와 약보시나 애니 검두산래 제가 가르고나 공연되고 연구할때 그래서 내 되게 되는 자인데 이가 녹두산 풍매지 팜래도 저 딥가 되게 여쭤보지나 건nen가 그래서 메부스에다 가르서는 this or that 건지 더번 소설 배 능주 배서 여보이난다 야면 다 배종주 여 드와요슬란드 배 천년자 숑 롱주 뭐 인구 뭐 숑나 근데 간다 제마다 인구 뭐버디 인비게 가서 디지스 소송 롱주디 소송 체드에는 요네 에는 최 쇼소나 인 팜도월 다 롱주 가데 는 롱주디 강가베 최드베 토스 에는 최 마셔나 가래 에는 롱주기 메범사 되셔 어디 송셔다
Geshe read from page 188 to 191, a couple of pages to give us the blessing of lineage learning oral transmission. And so now I started to give his explanation. Before we continue where we left off last week, he wants to clarify an explanation he gave last time, I think, which maybe not exactly because there was some kind of a typo or something in the Tibetan where it says something like if you have joyful perseverance or enthusiastic perseverance, Chundu, then you will not be in the Tibetan like a defeated Mipamba. So he was to offer a clarification on what does that mean. What that means is, of course, our success in both, success depends upon we are very successful in terms of mundane affairs of things that we are able to have a lot of resources and we become very rich. Then one of the risks involved in that usually is that we get so much caught up with our wealth or chasing the wealth that we really practically lose opportunity to cultivate spirituality or dharma because we got sucked into materialism, and chase it to death. He didn't say that, but I just want to say that to your translator footnote. But if we have enthusiastic perseverance, Chindu, one of the benefits, because we talked about how, contemplating the benefits of the Chindu and the disadvantages of not cultivating it and how to cultivate it. Those are some of the main points we have to look through. And if we have real enthusiastic perseverance, we will be very much interested in doing virtuous things, which includes cultivation of practice. So therefore, we will see that we don't get distracted by our wealth and the mundane things, even if we are very successful in that department. So that's what it means, that even the mundane wealth is not going to overwhelm and defeat us. Our spirit or the determination to continue with spirituality.
다 대리 카두데 대래 다 건제 존주 시다잠이 수세 다 존주 잠주잖아요. 딜이야 믿음 쇼를 가르쳐 게제 가르쳐요. 지로 봐서 쇼 봐서요. 근데 카두 게제 가르쳐요세나. 아니 게제 되는 거 게제 될 냐보디 땡 그러세요. 다 다나데 가사 쇼 발려서는데 지로 봐서 어디 해야 돼. 그래서 될 숨스 톱잘 지로 봤다지. 다야 상지 고만 타반티시. 데 톱에 ene table ji lo ba ga ba tang kong de ne de ne le shom ba ga ba wa tang bo ne ta di ko je de so top ja ji lo ba tang se de top ja sang ji ko ma ri ya ta top ja sang ji ko ba de jo tham je se yon de ta ju lo do ge be de de shi ji re ene nga ne be ta su du ta me wa be jo bo shi ji re se da top ja ko na ko yon de de na ya top sa ma ri sen chi de sho ya ji shi ra wa 다데 톱에 탑을 지로 바가바세 다데 톱을 개바 타면서 소사 그래 제가 되게 고아도 동거야 되게 용 말이스 제가 되게 톱지 타가 되나라 간지 톱도서 말이스 또 쉬어라 가운데 내는 주베 내를 해봐가고 내 다데 개바 타면서 소사거나 에넥 디바디 코야나 참고로 와셔도 코야 동은 용거로 와 제가 되게 유름 보고야 동은 용시 되시도는 가르치는 톱자다 이런 톱탑 두베 네베 커요 온디시는 가르치는 마지는 이런 수요타야 민두선 어디서부터 쟁기래서 왔다.
So we are on page 188. If you have this translation, volume number 2 in front of you, and so we have been discussing, how to cultivate joyous perseverance or enthusiastic perseverance or junju in Tibetan. And as we said this before, that to be able to do so, we have to look at the obstacles or the unfavorable conditions or the challenges we have to face. And as we face the challenges, then we have to put up with them and we have to counteract them, right? We use antidotes to deal with the challenges. So that's how we cultivate joyful perseverance within ourselves. And so one of the laziness we talked about is the laziness of self-discouragement. I'm not ready, I can't, all that. That kind of laziness, and so it's called stopping discouragement on self-contempt or underestimating our own ability to do things. And so this is explained in terms of 3 items. Number 1 is called how we might feel that kind of laziness, discouragement in terms of the goals, we set for ourselves. Or that kind of underestimation, self-underestimation might happen in terms of following the method or the practice that leads to the goal. Or that kind of discouragement might arise in terms of having to maybe stay in the samsara for too long, right? It might take a long time to get there. And so in terms of those 3 things, we might experience this particular kind of self-discouragement. And so the goal is, of course, there are many spiritual goals, and the highest and ultimate goal that we are seeking is Buddhahood and enlightenment, right? So we want to be Buddhas, enlightened beings. So what does that mean? That means is that enlightenment is a state where we are free of all the defilements, mental obscurations, and faults, and we endowed with all kinds of qualities and realizations. So that is what enlightenment is all about. So when we think about that goal, right, it can be very discouraging. Oh my gosh, Really, am I kidding myself that I want to be Buddha, free of all the faults, no weaknesses and limitations, and I want to be endowed with all the realization qualities? Forget it, you know. That's like too much. So thinking about the goal, we might feel just discouraged, and then therefore that discouragement is laziness, you know. Well, better hang out. He didn't say that, but you know, I put that. Then in terms of a method, to become a Buddha, right, it's not necessarily going to be a smooth journey or like an easy thing. Because, you know, it involves cultivating practice in the path and the method. And it might take 3 great countless eons, right? We have to be able to fulfill the 2 types of collection of merit, positive energy, and collection of wisdom, right? For 3 great countless eons. It might take that long, right? So when you think about that, really, am I kidding myself? 3 great countless eons, and well, that's not me. So again, we might look down upon ourselves and belittle ourselves, like, you know, I'm not ready, I'm not there, I don't have the ability, you know. And then the third thing is, you know, being in the, how it's translated here, stopping discouragement, because wherever you are in a place to practice, what that really means is that until you know, we become Buddha, whenever that is, you know, we might, you know, we are going to be going round and round in samsara, right? So we think, well, samsara has so much suffering and misery. I just can't, you know, take it. I'm not going to be, if I'm going to be in round and round samsara for a long time until I become Buddha, well, I don't think I can do it. So we're going to, again, discourage ourselves. So that's how this self-discouragement, you know, underestimating our own ability to grow, is diminished and it's undermined and belittled, right? So when that kind of a laziness comes up, we have to deal with it, you know.
다 통문의 토저 상지 용사 세바니 다는 용된 나래 저바도 좀 레세로 체가 나에 다 저는 지부터 토바 칼은 냠비 슈봉무 주는 생지 동에 예버신이 쳇라스 와다 섬지들 다 거저 상지 용데 다 거서 꾸요도 소고도 토기도 자디레 장가전에 시부자로 세다 용데 내레레 저라야 에디 시부고거스 세다 데 조바인 다도 소소도 베테지 냠네로 찍성다나 강해셔도 세다 디지도 다 그냥 라도 투사 말이 세다 거시나 마시나 에니 비게테서 다 좀리전 상지고 토토자면도선 신 문의 장사 쇼네 토사 마데 사베이나 다 더부 정주 세바이는 정주 좀 동로 그래서 동로로 어디 동로 그래서 세다 님이 셔버려서 다 sabsachi고자지라와 동에 님이 쳇라세 다 지도대 sabsachi고래서 왔다.
So we're in the middle of page 188, stopping discouragement about the goal. As I just mentioned, enlightenment is defined as a state which is free of all the defilements and the faults and weaknesses and limitations, which is blossomed with all kinds of qualities and realizations, right? So when we think about that, when we think about an enlightened being's infinite qualities of the enlightened body, enlightened speech, enlightened mind, okay, then we might say, you know what, for me even to be able to succeed in cultivating one good quality, that's a challenge and tough, right? So am I kidding myself? It's the infinite qualities enlightened. I'm talking about that. So we might really feel discouraged and you know, kind of feel very low here. So, but that's really a big obstacle, unfavorable condition, you know, on our way to enlightenment. If we are bodhisattva, or we have made the bodhisattva commitment, right, I'm going to seek enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings, that kind of discouragement can completely mess up with our bodhisattva attitude, right? So we might even lose our bodhicitta, right? If you are bodhisattva already, or you have that commitment, and then we think that, you know what, forget it. In enlightenment, infinite qualities, am I kidding myself? You know, gee. So if we lose that spirit of enlightenment, it is very detrimental, as you know, you can imagine. And so we really have to also deal with it.
我这个知道你们看了是马上要他们呢，这个个说，我今天中间的电把送，电把让他把送给主要的老婆没送，前面就 티 더부서 이지 장창주 타바소나 다니 메르제바 베텐상라 랑돌레 제베 로이 투예베 다기 좀바 마다네 지시 메다니데 생도도 스디레 다간제 카르사 딘데가 담보권 베 쳔볼로 마중콘에 소소야 이네 몽고르지 가고 데시 저 디카르세나 고진을 좀 내네 다상예데네 카르사 유산 수말 카르사 라미한타바 댕게지레 사지 그 소소 좀베 도베나 아이들 정부 수지데네 상제게레세 송샤시 제가 소소다다 미데제네 베젠도라 티바시무 쇼제와서健康가 잘랑도 행거로 와시다 디히다 정부도 베 좀바드는 상제 탑도이나 나다데 베 튕게도 니데지 요베 가데 상 게임도 가르 용을 토구라 왔습니 야 성도 그랬어요.
Of course, in the first place, as we would say, precaution is better than cure. We have to prevent in every possible way that kind of self-discouragement thought does not appear in our mind. Okay? So prevention is the step number one. And the second one is maybe should that kind of a thought arise in the mind, we really have to deal with then and there, so to speak. And the truth is that we really have to kind of invoke Buddha's authenticity and credibility here, right? Buddha is an enlightened being. In that sense, we call it a very authentic, valid person. Okay? And Buddha never lies. Buddha is not in the business of misleading X, Y, Z. That's not Buddha's job. It's not in his resume. Buddha is, completely enlightened and truthful and authentic person. So if we can take that, right, for who Buddha is, then we have to believe in Buddha's words. So what Buddha has said is this, that all sentient beings, eventually are capable of becoming enlightened beings, including the small insects, the bees and the mosquitoes and, all these other creatures, isn't it? So if insects can be Buddha, right, eventually, that is the proposition and contention, then I am a human being with fully endowed human form. So how come that I cannot be a Buddha, right? That makes no sense. So as we trust in, we invoke Buddha's authenticity, Buddha's validity, Buddha's, honest to Buddha words. So then that should bring inspiration and encouragement to ourselves.
다 상주 칼라시 길로빠는 메시를 니다디지 식바이 식바니 디딘순 덴바 덴순 덴디송 정부샤정 봉화의 대신 신부 공주와 되게 좀베 dob제는 상주 토가 라메 더 다다르 게 밀게라 팬더 네버 모시니 상주제와 마다나 다의 상주 제메도 제소 어쨌다 페이지 레시로 신 로사라와 혼단데 간지 베 투누르 집에 정무선지 좀베 마다 상예도 우리가 단다 애니 미리게 될라베 튕게도 쇼디베 튕게도 좀디베 간에 애니 상마게니 간데 지그리 애니 게토리스 어디가서 페노도 뭐시스 어디로 어디로 어디서도 롱도 뭐셔니 시도 토리스 어디 간지디 단다데 마진리시 잡자데 종주기
At the bottom of page 188 and over page 189, we have three stanzas cited from Bodhisattva Mahasattva Shantideva's engaging in Bodhisattva deeds, Chunju in Tibetan, which basically is to authenticate what we just talked about and explained. And as Geshe once more stated, that should such self-discouragement statements or thought arise in our heart that I am not up to, or that, then we really have to invoke the Buddha's authentic statement, where Buddha says that all creatures or sentient beings have the potentiality to become enlightened beings, including the bees and the insects and the worms and all other creatures. So if that's the case, I have this fully endowed human form and a life, precious human life, and I'm endowed with human intelligence. Okay? And I have the intelligence to be able to figure out what needs to be abandoned, what I should not do, and what needs to be cultivated and put into practice. I have that intelligence, I have the ability to do so. And if I do not fail myself in pursuing and cultivating joyous perseverance, I should be able to become Buddha, right? There's no other reason, because Buddha said all other creatures could, and I'm part of the creatures, and in this time, I'm even endowed with human intelligence and ability to make that kind of a judgment between what I should not do and what needs to be abandoned and what needs to be adopted. And so in that way, we should, boost up our spirit.
我觉得咸阳啊，他有这咸阳，我上街对吧？他这上街的效果，但是到不得，忙上街西村讲我到了吧？对他讲，上街是写给那么多名义，但是这个是可能也了，其都是新的上街吧都，叫我娘的上的小巴干的，我听了写到，他在这个有这现在看的是呢，提纲里呀，那年里呀，但得上街些。 他在上街的到不是毛本就讲过到，你看看，那上街的那唐伯公中国是有那个这些那别套上的那些信仰嘛，这是，俺这几个就讲些呢，唐伯别你们别几个是你话的配了吧？我这配那看的就的，那考完你话就上就审计那上街话的吧是，现在第一大家都把这边那。 就是上街他们也都说把上街的都野的，现在逃不过上街嘛的吧？现在几块的，都几块几样的，现在可能是逃不别，但是别人讲俺是几块钱的，这个给我捡的上街印章，那俺也偷着吧是，然后几块的吧是就说了，但这块养大人的话都说。
And so another reasoning that we could use to boost our spirit is. When we think about, this is on page 189, think about Buddhas of the three times, right? Buddhas of the past, and Buddhas of the present, including Shakyamuni Buddha sitting over there, and Buddhas of the future, such as Maitreya. In the beginning, they were just like us, very deluded, sentient beings, right? Nobody was born Buddha, right? Nobody just came with like perfect, right? Here I am, kind of thing. So they were just like us, ordinary sentient beings, very deluded, cranky and miserable and yagadi kind of beings. But somehow, they, develop aversion to misery in samsara. They cultivated bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings. They stayed the course, follow the path, lead enlightenment, never give up their determination, and then they become Buddhas, or they will be Buddhas, right? So if we look at that, that is a really authentic reasoning, right? Once upon a time, Shakyamuni Buddha or other Buddhas were just like us, deluded, miserable, cranky, sentient beings. But they changed the course of their thinking and action, and now they are enlightened beings, or they will be, right? And so in the same way, if I follow suit, there is no reason why I cannot be a Buddha, right? Because I'm where they used to be, and I can be where they are, right? It's just a matter of, cultivating the enthusiastic perseverance and staying the course, right? So in that way, we can, encourage ourselves.
我是看啥，他讲他提供的工作经历是确实是蛮的，那在第一些我这就想到我做不上街，看到我做不上街我听他的，看到我做上街我听他的，看到我做不上街就听他的，处的着的，làm知道的，尊重的着，我做上街，我做不上街，我做不上街就说，学校那第一些我第一我就我想到。 我们做上叫满街，大家今年讲那个要做不上去的，他说我们做不上叫啊，有啊，甚至他们的土木给种绿的，甚至他们的没给种绿的，哪个讲那的，这路别多斜道，用的太来吧，对我来讲。 Khonsu lala tage deshi komo yewa teta jang dewe shen de mebe ne ta ne ko gun ta du huang zhong she tele cheje nyanga lwe tsaya dani me manze dala maba mirung jibu tarwa shumbar yewa la she sos da di kong de re wa gunjo de de sanje taji tu sanje taji ene pige karsa del tawo sang yesa ba jigo maris da ene so sa de ngazo na yi shi kine lam liang go zu ne yong she pe de ba she da ba she da ti zo da ene so so de sta te kon lo zun ru do ka de la do ba ene o te na hi ya sam to ni te la ya pa ji ju rest karsa da kono zo tambo be in tambo kon da gan zo tambo sang ji re do me she kon zo tambo sang ji re she kha kha sha de da da ro shi ya yo mar ba she da ta ni zi do sang ji do ya ju de kha ji kon zo tambo sang ji de ju da 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 gan zo de ya ju de ji ba ji ya song de da da kon zo sang ji za de gan zo do na ne ya yong ro ba sta kon ji do do de re do.
So we're on page 189, where we have passages quoted from two different sources. First one is Cloud of Jewels Sutra or Ratnakuta Sutra, and the second one is Praise of Infinite Qualities. So these passages are, just cited, to substantiate the points that we have been making, that we are very capable of becoming enlightened being, provided we follow the footsteps of the Buddhas of the three times, and we cultivate joyous perseverance. And so what is stated in the Cloud of Jewels Sutra is this, the Buddhas of the past, Buddhas of the present, and Buddhas of the future, so they're all able to become Buddhas primarily because of doing these things. They have cultivated this method, this kind of a path, this kind of joyous perseverance. So basically they stay the course. And if we do the same, there is no reason why you and I cannot be like them. So as Geshe explained earlier also, that in the beginning, all Buddhas were just like us, very ordinary, deluded, sentient beings, right? There is no, one who is kind of born as a Buddha, right? That's just an impossible thing. Nobody is. And so you have to start somewhere. That's where we are. We are starting our path and practice. And if we follow their footsteps and follow the method, the path, and the joyous perseverance, there is no reason at all why we cannot become like them. And the reason is that every sentient being has what we call Buddha nature, or the state of enlightenment, Sanyeji Rik, right? It's not like, Buddhas of the three times have God, and somehow we don't have it. Well, if you don't have, hypothetically speaking, seed of enlightenment, then forget it. We will never become Buddhas, right? If there are sentient beings who are deprived of that seed of enlightenment, well, then there's a good reason. You are screwed up forever, Just that's it. Give up. But that's not what it is. Everybody has the same seed of enlightenment in our mind, right? And that's why the Buddhas of the three times have invoked it, activated it, pursued it, blossomed it, and that became the Buddha. So the same thing here, that we have to activate our seed of enlightenment through the method, the path, and joyous perseverance. And if we do that, we should also be able to become enlightened beings just like them.
Any gay cause a captain Jaguar, any military cause you do. What is a ganga? So one is under Abdul shown in the Karsa, the Shumbaji is. The things the Karsa, Shumbat there, Sanji, you're the Thai, you just so she will love you on the go Thai with Druvata. John Thai of Ta Gog of a Lickport, Corne, 10 running to there on the Shumbajo in yes, or Tira, said that she was some, she the only Rasan Sanji, Lam 퉁게도 가재 게제 그때 뽕뽕다 가재 뒤에 차기 저 해서나 에는 쇼바제게 시시 다 사제인데 타야바 되는 냐레 뒤서서 연대 샤차모르서라 다 되잖아요 이제 다 사이 냠즈는 당가서 냠즈는 거죠 다 온르시나 다 상알람이 다 룹답 가요는 하시는 계속 제름으로 고면现在 상제게 상선좀 가지다 람소르게 뭐 짱디 신스기도 와 시다다 튕제 가지고 간가 맞으면 세변다 라메게 룹답 주고 고는 상제에 또 말와 그러면 다 상주서는 인주서 가가 겐라링 것도 와서 되고 시다 티마제 제다 다 코라카도 배체지 상제게 세야 계절이 말해 저 들 이제로 지들아 튕제 현다 맞으면 드레시 짱대시도 쓰기도. 근데 프로듀서도 내 제거라. 프로듀서는 근데 튕게배 연대 마음 모르시 식지월이야 우즈게 되는 프로듀서 말해. 드레스 중계 들어서래네 디시고래. 혐오적인 말을 그러고 다 세절 상지를 지그서 레라도 걸어서 저거 말해. 제대로 저를 따고 그러고.
So at the bottom of page 189 and over to page 190, in the passage what is described, as Geshe explained, giggling over the whole thing, is this, that, the self-discouragement, just because it arises, it does not necessarily mean it is really negative and bad, because that could only arise in those, who really understand or think about that enlightenment has infinite qualities, it's free of all the faults, right? When you think about that enlightenment has tremendous qualities, and you need to do tremendous things to be able to get there, right, infinite, then you start to feel like, oh my gosh, right? So it's very possible that kind of self-discouragement could arise because when you consider all the things on the table, so to speak, all the unfavorable conditions I have to deal with, whoa, right? All the favorable conditions I have to create, oh my goodness, right? Then you thought, wow, I don't think I can do it, right? Then that's how it comes. People who don't consider all the things on the table, they may never feel self-discouragement, and this could be, for example, and people, who just kind of buy into this whole belief system, make everything too simple, right? Well, you can be Buddha in one lifetime through the practice of highest yoga tantra. Okay, sounds good. I have to do only one thing, highest yoga tantra, and become a Buddha in this lifetime. So I'm signed up on that list, and there's no discouragement, right? Well, highest yoga tantra, Mahanuttara yoga tantra, which all starts with receiving the tantric empowerment, right? And then cultivating the generation completion stage practice. That is all dependent on many other factors, isn't it? You have to cultivate the three principal paths: an aversion to samsara, a bodhicitta, and the wisdom gone beyond. Without those three principal paths, highest yoga tantra alone is not going to be, everything. So somebody who just think too simple, right? Okay, I'll just cut short everything. I'll get the initiation, and then I do some generation practice, so I can be Buddha in lifetime. So what is the problem here? There's nothing to be discouraged, right? Now you just got a very narrowed down this a view, and you lost the whole perspective on Buddhahood, right? So you see that. Or some other people who think, well, I can just pick and choose the practice I like, and I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to really expert here, and I'm going to nail it down to the death. Well, one practice alone is never going to take you to Buddhahood, right? So, and such people may never get discouraged because you're just only focused on one thing, right? Doing the only one thing right. So, in a sense, people who feel discouraged, we can empathize with it. Why? Because you think about what enlightenment is. It consists of infinite qualities. It's free of all the defilements. You need to do, this whole complete structure of the path. Then, yeah, it is discouraging. But at the same time, we have to keep on intra-personally communicating to ourselves, within to ourselves. When the discouragement arises, what? I have the seed of enlightenment. I can do it. Others have done it. There's no reason why I can't do it. I have the same opportunity, same seed, cause of enlightenment, and that's how we have to boost up our spirit.
Oh, this is 남지 라메 거기 둡다 들을 베 다랍 겨져 상제스 저 대자 에네 겨와 준데 타마 가지는 베다 시다 양내 시다 마저 돈도 마도 소에는 겨와지도 상제스 소지요 말에 그래서 되게 가가 가르서 다다 파지티브 로리시베 비게 당보리 님 상반에 연대 강가야 요네 디 강을 싸우어 맞지 더부터도 가지 인중 매와지 아니 진짜 이름 다시 어디 시도는 거도야 요마와 저도 그 상가도 대단히 와라 그래서 this is
So again, Geshe is continuing with chuckling over, allow me to say, simple-minded people. That could be us. You know what? Well, I'm lucky. I have received the highest yoga initiation. I'll practice generation stage, and then I'll cut through all the, other paths, and then I can be Buddha in this lifetime. Really. So we have to think about that. Yes, it is true in the context of highest yoga tantra. I mean, things which are explained to us is that if you are the one with the sharpest faculty and the most fortunate one, you can be Buddha in this lifetime. Well, that's the best deal we can get, right? You can be Buddha in this lifetime, one life. And then if you're not that lucky and fortunate, intelligent, you may be able to become Buddha in a couple of lifetimes, and then if you're still kind of lucky and maybe a bit of a lazy, practice, if you keep your commitments, in 16 lifetimes you will be Buddha. Well, that's not a bad deal either. In 16 lifetimes you will be Buddha, right? So it seems like, okay, everything is winning here, right? Either one lifetime, many lifetimes, or 16 lifetimes, I'm going to be Buddha. So, what's the problem there, right? So that's why Geshe is chuckling over that, right? If you think about that, it looks like, okay, it seems to be quite easy. But that's all. The highest yoga tantric practice initiations is grounded and based upon the foundation of Pranjana Paramita, or perfection vehicle, right? Everything explained in the Pranjana Paramita Sutra, the complete structure of the path, is assumed to be studied and followed, and now you add on to that. It's icing on the cake, okay? It's not the cake per se, the highest yoga tantra. That's the icing on the cake. So you have no cake, there's nothing to ice on, right? But he didn't use that metaphor, but you know what I'm saying. So, so that's why we kind of lost the whole, the complete perspective on the path, And so that might do a disservice to ourselves if we think that, I don't have to practice the three principle path. I can only do the high generation stage, complete stage, and then I can go there like, yeah, welcome aboard. Do that. It won't work. He didn't say that, but my footnote, it won't work, yeah.
what is it? Gone to Jidan, that Jidan is regular. That regulation to be a total roaching it, the tongue for regulation to kill a couple of shivora. Something I was negation the coach in Cockers like a little target, some down there. Takaji Yasa, do you have something in the Catalan? Okay, sir, you can get killing it. What do you have some of the what is you?
Because when we take tantric initiation and make commitments, right, we really have to be very serious about, right, what we are getting into and what we're committing to, right? And then it will make a whole lot of sense, the seriousness of the path and the practice. But if we take everything too lightly, and easily commit to everything, then it really doesn't mean anything. And the Geshe gives this example of how some people, if you ask them for help or something, they think like 10 times before they could say yes, And then once they really committed, they mean it, right? Whereas other people are very easy, yeah, I'll do it. And then they probably never do, most of it or not at all. So if we make that kind of easy commitment to our practice, it's not meaningful, So we should mean what, as we commit to our practice.
What is the one the Sangda man, yes, that the Purtuda and Karsa, Jang de Shia, the Sangda, what the Miracarson. Lam in Rosilla said, Remban Nieva money be, and the Magoa, Cursa, money be, Magoa, Total Cursa, money be, Magoa, Total you, Cursa, Nieva money be, Magoa, Total you young, round loud mana be, say. Lala do a shaggy, said Jive Lamba instead, said that is the Quadam with best Leland was some at the Carter said, any Konang Bova the one is a hawk on the copy. Carsa any Bova Mashum very needs you how more is in the how more race. Konang that said that the day you got 6 years of Johnny and today's some done in the shiver race. She has a teacher called Lavando as a Lela Shiragang or that child or child race. Janela Tubana, Lam you got Gunju Ragrim Digby, lose some at some. That one it has a sena, Tangwata category, Nipa the category. Tinega Tepasum Lam Yunzo, Nigga Shangura. The Temana, Tetsam Gunu. There's some good soon, sending Ligbon Jewish Sherosa, or Teresa called their Shumbajadi and Dogus Sky Maris. Cook one it on some said in the town Shumbajadi. So she would say the Shumbajaro. What is it?
So we're on top of page 190, where it stated, I think it's sort of, one way what we said is that we have to recognize that self-discouragement is an unfavorable condition that we need to deal with. Now, just because we experience that self-discouragement, it doesn't necessarily mean everything is bad and everything, is, gone out of our hand. Actually, there's good reason why that kind of self-discouragement could arise. As we said, people who think about all matters, right? About enlightenment with infinite qualities and free will defilements and what we need to do in order to be enlightened, then really we could get discouraged, right? That is a reality and a reasonable thing. But we can't let ourselves be discouraged forever and ever. We have to really deal with it, right? And so other people may not experience that discouragement, and we gave you 2 examples, right? People who are very selective, focus on 1 or 2 things as if that's enough to become enlightened being. Well, they have lost the whole perspective on the path, because 1 or 2 things is not going to cut it, Or some other people, they got too simple-minded in the sense that, oh, I will do the highest yoga tantra and I can jump and hop stick play, and then I can be Buddha in this lifetime, as if you don't have to do anything else, and you will not be discouraged. And again, you goofed on that because you really did not think about the whole holistic a picture of the complete structure of the path, right? How it begins and what's involved in the next step, step 1, 2, 3, 4, and where it leads and what needs to be done. So when you don't have the complete picture of the path, maybe you have no reason to be discouraged because things seem to be simple, there. So we have to be careful that we have the more sort of a systems perspective on the complete structure of the path. And then as discouragement arises, recognize it and deal with it.
What is that? That you shut out any just Laglin Moshi with Shadus with Jabokun. David made a law son, say Shumbata Mio, Tata Chu Libor Son, Rang maybe, Shumba Dang, Chill Sebi, and the Sar Simba, Mundukte, Libor San, Shumba Dang, Chizu, Junior Ched. Song the Shindu Meva Nango, so shout out the radio, said Karsa, Lalil Mata, Shadow, Lalil Maju comes in, because Shojusi with Jiva to Ganga said, Jiva Kari in the Ganga be Karsa, David Migla, because the Mila law song the seat, and that petty that Conan, that Conan Penguin, my hero, I cannot go Marva, to be held to Buffon, Digro, or Tiro Quadio, some of the times you are. Or today she then type and that. Dota Yana Sanjigis said that Sanjis or did some function, see what I tell you about Jigma, Shumba, some Muta, Tatachu Ligor, or someone, Rung maybe, said that this is the love you remember Lord John down to the Tuya Mazan and Shumba Joma is. Maybe Shumba Dang, Run Che to say, Sar Shimba Mindu this. And Shimba Daras and Jongumari say, and the day Yomar and Jongsha read over this. In the liquid sun, Shimba Chezu, say, Junior Chess on the Shin, the Meva now, said, there are liquid sun, love you, Rebaganga, Tambo Yang, and Jung Samba, that was it. Some years say, but love you, Yunzo, it get Tavi, Lam, the Hilum, Namja Ganga, one year chance, Yago, Del Papsona, and Shumba Kenya Yoris. For this song, yes, this song shall be in the Shin, the Meva in the Senate, she dug Demba de Songora.
So on page 190, we have a passage which is attributed to Geshe Sharawa. And as I listened very carefully to Geshe's explanation, I started to feel that the translation there, it says, for bodhisattvas who have not engaged. I don't think it's for bodhisattvas. It is, like us, who have not engaged in the bodhisattva, practice, then, things seems to be quite simple, isn't it? Because we don't know what is involved in bodhisattva deeds and actions, right? So everything is put in a very simplistic sense. You know what? I don't think it's really big of a deal, to be bodhisattva kind of thing. That mindset, isn't it? So we just kind of make it very simple, just like if you to shoot an arrow, well, you have not too many things to worry about. You only have one target, just look at it and shoot it, right? That's only one thing. So going to enlightenment is just not like focus on one thing and shooting an arrow to the target, because there's so many things to be considered, as we have been talking about the complete structure of the path, from cultivating aversion to samsara and all the things in between until we become Buddha enlightened, right? So when we think about all of those things, we can understand, Sharawa says, that how people can be discouraged, feel discouraged that I cannot do it, So discouragement, self-discouragement is only possible for people who have that kind of a broadened perspective on the complete structure of the path, not for the people who are very focused on one or two things or simple-minded, things. So Sharawa is kind of empathizing with that whole statement. He said, yeah, it's possible, but then we have to, counteract it.
Oh, 이거 신님이 뒤톱에 탑 다다기 되래 가서 톱제 유일의 심박가 봐셔. 다 톱지 남의 심박가 되래도 이번에 뒤톱에 탑라 심박가는 상지 줘발라 강라서 땅가라. 제가 다도 무슨냐는 제자기 등에는 수요거듯이 제원나라 마슈발 랑가라 데발라양 코와나 루치바도 저와도 포바도 세발라서 등에 주엘에 데와뇨 대랑기 대 랑양 민두 가사 랑기 토마토지 상주기 셰드 가와제 등에라니 등에가메 차장래야 메라 랑시 통드베 고바 영 케셰베 셰드스 어디브라 군조 제때 셰드 군데 강라 어디브라 어디세온다 가사 다 톱지 라운드 쇼가스 다디 깨바 타면서 두유도 룽주베 땅 이네 가사 고다 강라 강가 땅 같이 시원 용구레서는 어디데 shum박해야 돼 가래서는 다다 버져 토마바네 에네 피게 여와다 가지 인소 모습에게네 에네 강라 제와다 데네 또버도 당근 주셔야 말아 진짜 당근 쉬어야 말디 되게 셰네 뉴에네 가서 등에는 유령부 시부 차 다라 에네 유령 공용구거스 등에는 양변 리버거든 지 티비지야 요 말아 다다다 람주베 가서 에네 때 등에나 디 등에디 녀아주 등에서 등에 숭숭으로 왔어 등에 숭숭을 야 소발 되는 까지 쉐발 땐디 리부터 야 롱신 통도야 에네 상시 공원 쳐도 저 요로 왔어 진짜 디데서 온다 에네 동의입니다 가르쳐서 거기 정중스러운 말랍시에 대해서 거기 예서께서 등에 용 가지고 와라 다 저도 습견은 그게 그녀와 신선은 여와 신의 등에 용하듯이 찍고 와야지 리뷰에 쇼로 와 어디 디데샤는 상호동 그래서다 자 톱제 라운드 shum박가 와서디라.
So now in the middle of page 190, the second subpoint reads, stopping discouragement about the means to attain the goal. So we just talked about how we might experience self-discouragement thinking about the goal, right? That's enlightenment. And now the another discouragement is with regard to the path or the method by which we can achieve the goal. And as is stated here, and Geshe explained, that we hear about all kinds of sacrifices, that we might end up making, on the way to enlightenment. That we might even have to give up parts of our body, right? Cutting of our limbs or the head chopped off or whatever the things, or sacrifice family. Then we think like, wow, that's too much. I can't do it. That seems like too much asking myself of things like that. But again, here we really have to think in this way that we have been in samsara for too long. We have been reborn in the bad migrations many times already, where we got chopped up into pieces into like many times, and we went through so much suffering, but we haven't gained anything out of that, right? We have suffered much in samsara, especially in the bad migrations, where we got chopped and fried and cooked and boiled and all of that, but still we are here in samsara, right? And nothing achieved out of that suffering. But as we follow the path and the practice, we may face a lot of difficulties and challenges, but relatively speaking, these difficulties, really do not match with all the suffering we have been through in samsara. So then we should boost up our spirit. You know what? It is meaningful to experience these difficulties for the benefit of others, for the sake of our spiritual goal, and it's worth to go through these difficulties. So this is how we should encourage ourselves to face challenges and difficulties. I mean, think about this. Let's say we have the two choice. Don't cultivate bodhicitta, and anyway, we still are in samsara, and we go through a lot of suffering, and it will yield no meaningful result. We at least sincerely cultivate bodhicitta, but then we lose it somehow, right? We break the commitments, and as a result, we might end up in the bad migrations. But it's worth, at least we tried, isn't it? We tried bodhicitta, and it's worth to try it and go to the hell if need be, right? Rather than just not trying it and anyway we go to the hell, right? So I mean, there's a difference, as you can think about. Those two things are not one and the same thing. Yes, we do suffer, in the same way, but there is a value attached differently to that mindset.
那得空的永久的是吧？我的刚来拉萨吧，当个大年这些呢，这的样嘛这不是，我们大年这不是谁，也不小场面的，连着怎么这么的，我当适当细节的享受。 타바 민조로 다가 샤주 저와에 등인데네 네 최여데 승무콩라 뉴실체르 르마테베 동인신 멤버고 이제 소시제 메다와다이 메다와에 니미시 대외 동인 망보타 숑지르 메데 슝 가서 슝수샤 셰소스 다 거기 도도 니데 여러와다 비게 소소 비게 롱도 남샤데 마지시 방면도 대샤나 에네 비게 년로 见 동은 용거야 다 동은 사보시 용거야 디 지와시 다 동에 가서 용도 동에데 용베 리부테 다 거래 제 편야도 다내 지금 해 봐시 어디 거 용도 용랑 저지시 다다다 셔주 저도 세비타도 상해서 셔야 돼 에네 비게 셔리 깔지 제네 ene dungi thagal thibi nyunguri timado sil ene tentega ya sinje thabi do karza samoto ge shaju saba do yawa dugja be sujo thagwa na hire ngodo dugja de je je do ko marwa ko miga sago yo marwa miga marna ko dugja je mara sheda dungi ka ro ngo shan chejung yo res ene malabe tanda simje sheda su phame de sheda ene ti dungi nyo dugjon son res tanda de 청주시대 까지시네 동해되게 동해되기 야 지부터 러시아 통주배야게 야 지부 정신 통주 도어와 시대 지부 유미 켜 괴바 유미 켜버신 어 근데 셰네 엔 거니 가르가도 어디 빠시 아니 가르사 청주 타워 민주로 가 옥다 가르사 데서라 가르사 오늘 기버 어스스도 어디스도 거기 가다자 다 선문도 다나 어디 리바 영다 도게면 다이로 당서 최마셔세 엔 최디 칼레데 도스 박면도 대샤나 엔 공에서 저 등은 용거로 다 최신 강에 제때제나 엔 강에 제 드디어 강에요现在 계속 인성 때들이 연구위나 엔 그 용변 리부터 더 먹고는 거라 시들이야 선제 탐지 돈데 상에 타와샤가 뒤도 가와진 저 예자 그 리부터 엔 상지고 뭐 더야 줄 누구로 어째서 다 contribute 동의 세준 거 권위와 당가 땅에 이 가르 가는 거 세규래서 다 들고 양다라와.
So we have at the bottom of page 190 over page 191 four stanzas quoted from great Bodhisattva Shantideva's engaging in Bodhisattva deeds, Junju. So which basically cited here to substantiate the points already made. And as Geshe explained, some of the verses here that even if, let's say, we don't take any interest in the practice of abandonment and cultivation, right? We go through our life as usual. We will experience a lot of difficulties and challenges. And so we might end up creating a lot of the negativities, and that might precipitate our rebirth in the bad migrations, and again, suffer even more. And all these sufferings we go through yields no purpose or meaning, right? Because this is just the process we are going through. On the other hand, now we make up our mind, right? We cultivate bodhicitta. We seek enlightenment for the benefit of others. We are trying at least, to cultivate bodhicitta, to follow the path. And of course, we face a lot of obstacles and difficulties. But if we put up with them, this kind of putting up with the challenge, difficulty, it can yield meaningful result. Even if we, let's say, for some other bad karmas, we are reborn in the bad migrations, but all the good things we did, they don't get wasted, because the bodhicitta development and the dedication we did, right, they are the cause for us to bring us closer to enlightenment. So our practice, brings us closer to enlightenment, means that we are able to put an end to suffering someday, isn't it? So going through difficulties with that kind of a mindset, motivation, is very different from just going through the life and going through usual suffering. So as those are the two choices before us, so we have to make our decision, isn't it? Which one seems to be more reasonable? Should I just live our normal life and go through the challenges and difficulties, which I have done for all this time in the samsara, has not brought any good result? Or I have a chance to try at least bodhicitta and practice, right? And of course, I'll go through difficulties. Life's not going to be easy here either. But then it can still bring me closer to enlightenment, someday. So the choice is before us, and we should, make the decision for ourselves.
dog say you do doing in say you this Sirawata, Pigati, doing that, first the Sijata to Sanjatoya Tonda, Bezushi Dingedine, and the sums of day doing shall dead, you would doing Shushabu Yamarwa, because the Miga Shushabu Meza, anything doing so you see at each other, do so you were at doing dead music. The permit they can do it the say of Marishi. That any permission, any Migas doing it in Divu Maritas, that the Roger told the Zozantoya to the Kawajan and doing it Sevatilla, and Karsa Divu Yoris, Penicade said, no, that never do go in the tent of you, or the shelter don't was what is or what the shelter is doing it, steady or the shelter must eat the shack and the soul in Gayarawa. That shelter is on the call. Shelter she be doing it as your mother, any go native your soul in got it hard or what the way issues.
So on top of page 191, we have two stanzas stated. Geshe gave explanation on that. The suffering we put up with as we stay on our journey towards enlightenment, we are trying to create as much as possible the positive actions, right? But we also go through a lot of difficulties. But because we are creating less negativities, the causes of suffering, so that limits the suffering, isn't it? Okay? And the positive actions, bring us closer to enlightenment. So it is like the example given here in the second stanza, that when we have, this terrible health issue where the surgeon recommends that we should go through this surgery, if we do that, of course, we will go through the surgery pain, but our life is going to be saved, isn't it? So, you make the decision, yes, who would choose to have a surgery if you don't have to, but you will cut, you will be, opened and everything. But you go through that pain and difficulty involved so that you have your life. So in the same way, we go through difficulties and challenges on the path, to be able to, if you will, save our spiritual life and attain enlightenment. So then we will stop there today, and we welcome your questions.
With understanding that we have a path
Yes.
to enlightenment, and we are going to be disillusioned, discouraged,
What?
no matter what level of practice, from Geshe to myself as a new practitioner. Is there any way to refocus your enthusiasm in the practice, or to remind yourself that becoming a Buddha is attainable? Because sometimes it is overwhelming. And to bring back myself, I can speak only for myself, to the center of why I am trying to practice is truly, like he says, overwhelming. And is there any, even yourself, have any advice for someone as new as myself on the path?
Sure. Koran kadi shoy di shu gor ken da karsa gore ngazde ngazda chö galam le chik ju de be ke zer wa gen da so ne rim khawar chöbe ne go chu go yebe ne re ya nyamne jin ya sab le de ne ro wa gen Koran sig da ben ken so shin be ne ro wa gen manzo nyamne chi du kan la da ji ge dong len che ko ga kan mang ko chi ge ro wa gen ji zam dam chö ge sam tan de kan li ya da ji sang je ko ba da ko bet karsa gore sim shu je ge sab li ya ko sim shu cha ge da nyang shu yong do wa gen ko ya cha da chö ha su mon de shu sam go ro wa gen ji de ka de yang de so li ya ji sim shu pa ya da ro wa gen lo je che ko de ge chu min sa ro wa gen ji de ka na da ngang Koran so ro ji na zam dam de be da je lam da sam de wona ji ka so hen to ro ro wa gen de be de do cha da ni ji gen gi ka lo de ma zan ko so ji sim shu pa ya ro wa gen cha ba ka ro che ro se go bi da ro wa
다 생육 봐야지 당기 배제 넘어서 상지 소야데 상지에는 진짜서 대마송 그래서 상지에는 뭐 정말 더서에는 여러분 배정신은 상지에 송샤스 다 소다다이네 다뭐 정말 당한테 깨와도지 깨와 송면 쉬우셔도요 다 가지고 지다 리더 상고 쉬우셔요 봐 진짜 그 생기 차오나 상이 들어서가 이제 나한테 단답에다 소도 대접을도 애는 쳐야지 튕겨들어 상들아 튕기는데 상들도 애는 그게 민주야 가야지 말이지 상이 뭐 정말 애는 그게 두발 좀 상지를 송도 하셔도 나한테 미지래지 민인도 정말 땡야가래지 저 뒤에 삼었다네 애는 신도 소도 다야 뽑아도 지금 거로 뽑아니 받아 가지고 나한테는 소지고 때문에 용대 좀 배쳐야 되어서 이제 뒤에 삼을당한테 삼을 뒤쁘지 효셔 모용 거라 봐. 대상은 당게 되려 다시 또 받아 두순 사이 들어간가 또 상지 말에 또 간다 지고 지금 니무 여봐 찍봐 찍봐 찍겨 지는데 요가 도와도 커야 되는 간다 나기 찍봐 용네 엔 간섬을 지래 엔 어디 랑도르 되게 힘이 태는 냐스난 상지로 와. 그 상지도 다 소소다 저버이나 상지가 무슨 생기셔 가지고다. 저 당에만 상지도 때 근데 당복권에 근데 상지에서체 다 간서 저거 레게는 다 생기셔 와. 공도 당복하면서 지고 지경지 얘는 람 저바냐 렌 상지에 타도 와. 그 다 다도 소소 그게 대종 말리나는 상지에 타도 르바데 양다다다 로도 와.
아니 레다 통도 맞아야 되면
라
레다 통도 제저로게.
레다 통도 세야 돼 됐어. 저거 인디운드가 돼 레다 통도 쓰고.
어디 있잖아. 야 탕제저로게.
어디 당시에 됐어. 레다 가도 다 가지 원해서나. 자 맨날 깨봐야도 내가 인지 소리 해서 하시고서 세야 너기시네. 가재 거는 뭐든 답에 상위에 고마도 로고 산니. 담보 숙자되는 어디 레다 통어 말아. 다 이제 간도를 시슈르시 곰들 자신 저거 따로 퇴어지 와서 못 되는 레다 통거로. 다들 저거 삼어도 그 또바께서요 말아. 또바께 받는다. 이니 신은 다 프리단센 쇼샤는 도야 노돌레도 와라. 어디 레다 통도 시경 말. 콩을 가슴 자기 사지면 돼.
So Geshe just said three things. The 2 points are already made in the teachings, and the third thing is probably a new highlight here. So he acknowledges, right, regardless of where we are on our path and practice, we might face a different set of challenges, and so we really often have to boost up our spirit and encourage ourselves, right, so that we don't lose the sight of our goal. So number one, I think for us to encourage ourselves is really we think about all the favorable conditions, the fortunes that we have in this life. In the Buddhism, as we talk about, we have this fully endowed human life that's characterized by 18 wonderful qualities, which is very difficult to attain. And so among the samsaric lives, this is the best life to be able to do all kinds of things. And so we think about all the qualities of our fully endowed human form. So therefore, if Buddha said that even insects, ants, can be Buddha, right, has a potentiality. So compared to them, not that I'm trying to look down on them, but I'm a human being, isn't it? I have all these wonderful qualities in my life, so I should be able to do the practice and stay the course, right? That's how we encourage one way. Another way, which is we more likely to kind of think, is like, how we can beat ourselves to death. Like, what? I'm so deluded, right? I'm a very kind of a negative, all this stuff, inside. So I don't think I can, right, be Buddha. But as we explained in the teaching, that when we think about all the Buddhas, in the beginning, they were just like us, isn't it? They have been through the same thing, right? All the, the discouragement we're experiencing, they went through that, right? But somehow they never gave up, right? And so we can say, what? They did it, so why can't I do it, And so we pick up inspirations from them because they were deluded like us, they were cranky like us, they went through all the headaches, and so they did it, and I'll follow suit, right? That's it. The third thing Geshe said is maybe we have to, relating to the broad perspective, we have to lower our expectation, Don't set our expectation too high. Like, yes, I want to be Buddha soon. I want to be the perfect practitioner. I must do everything right and never wrong. And, I just have to be Buddha overnight, Well, that's not going to happen. So lowering our expectations is very important, right? We said, Buddha hits our goal. We have to go through the process. If right from the beginning we set our mind, however long it takes, we don't know, right? It may take less time. It may take a long time. However long it takes, I'm never going to give up, right? Bodhicitta, I'm never going to, right, give up my practice. If that mindset is on, then it helps us to be able to deal with difficulties, right, more. Because we don't have agenda to become Buddha in the next week or the next month or the next year or this life, right? Because they said, however long it takes, that's what it is, So in many different ways, right, we have to think about to boost up our spirit. Any other questions, thoughts? There's the traveling mic over there. Yeah, give the Latmir. Yeah.
It's about the clarification that Geshe started this morning.
Right.
Well, actually, that was from 2 weeks ago. I'm curious how that came about. Why are there different versions of what made Geshe look back 2 weeks ago? But that's an idle curiosity. Actually, my point is that there were two other, in addition to this quote, there were two other quotes that were different from in our book, and the English translation actually made better sense.
Yeah.
And the quote is on page 183.
Okay, 183.
Yes. the one that states, one who has joyous perseverance is not brought down by prosperity, afflictions, discouragement, or petty
Yeah,
attainment.
that was the one brought down where I said defeated, right? That's
Right.
what he was explaining.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he commented on the prosperity, and then the petty attainments. The way it read in the Tibetan version was that we will not be deprived of opportunities to practice. But this version, petty attainments, makes better sense.
Wait a minute, 183. Which quote are we looking at right now?
Well, the second stanza from the top,
Oh yes.
and also.
Right, and also, yeah, one who has joyous perseverance is not brought down, right, that's it, and by prosperity, afflictions, discouragement, and petty attainments. So,
Yeah, so petty attainments, was the way Geshe read it, was that we will not be deprived of opportunities to practice. But here petty attainments means something else.
Okay.
That means that, being satisfied, it's like, kind of relates to the discouragement, being satisfied with little, with little attainments.
right.
That's one, and the other, the third one was in the 2 stanzas down. It says, "And your purposes surpassing the affairs of humankind." Again, from the Companion of Perfections.
Let me see, I'm trying to find the next one is...
The Companion of Perfections. So.
Oh yes. If you are free of fatigue and have great joyous perseverance, there is nothing...
Okay, so the next stanza.
Yeah.
And also,
Yes.
on the last 2
Yes.
lines of this stanza, "And your purpose is surpassing the affairs of humankind." And
It's
again,
right, yeah, Upala.
he read something different there, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, okay.
So
Okay, so if I can refer back to Al-Quran condition did it, the Kazan Yema to that chicks ngel merogan. Tatanda Diorwa Nganzo, how to begin the practice of this. Karsore, Jundugi, the Persian Yamlen go on the super search or wagon. The Nemalia, and Tanda did it. Dode Jang Lung Tambo wagon. Dode Jang Lung Tambo one Lung Chinalia, this loved wagon. Tanda Gang the Sumadi, Jundugi, and the castle of the Papa Chigma search or wagon. Tagarang shoe delia, Lung the did wagon, and a Karsa. Gang Lung the Yunatang Lung the Pagana love tomorrow. Delia Pena did about Topjakin, Topja Tenzek the Dejigi, and Nikki said to the one, the Kazan King, Jashe Nandukanlia, Jashe Shambash now, Sonsa, taking young Jewish sitting down the wagon. Pronounce the Topja member, Topja Tenzek city, what did Tonda Takara, what? Yabur stones the young king, did you got Jashe Shambash now, Sons? I'm asking Geshe to go back and look at the stanza because I cannot produce a stanza in Tibetan, right?
존주는 니모지 메본세들이
Login.
존주기는 니모지 메본 존주 단티조들이야 존주기 존준더 롱지기
어디?
파마에서 때 롱주 파마 당에 되게 자이발
This 타마데 갈등이.
다티와데 존주는데 뭐 니모지 메본스 니모지 파메 존주인데 뭐 교회 파마메스 교회스 교세야 교버스
어디 쇼데?
존준데 뭐 얘네 가자 존준데 뭐 톱에 파마 메시지
어디 톱에 파마 어디
톱에 파마 메시지
어디 가장 괜찮은 제가 나면 톱에 파마 메시지. 그래서
뭐
인지나리아게 토바 텐색제요 와게.
어디
다 톱자 멤버서 말해. 내가 지구도 와. 계획 자세 샴바스나 있어 와게디.
존준데 뭐 톱에 파마 되면도 톱에서 들다 되면 톱 시대잖아. ene karsa yonde sozu karbe tongdi nyena ene te top me to ba she ge mendo ba do yong ma ri se ya mendo tobe se de da de ro zunri de ba tobe pa ba me se de da de karsa top ba she ba chawa de ju go ma de kari no top se ya de ga da tobe pa ba se kari no top res da top ma do no tobe pa go ro 팜스도 종으로 계획 캐다 종이 들어왔다 거지.
알레디 단도 토바스에 되게 토바 텐색을 게 잡게 저 말로 하게.
라 토바스 저거로서 나
토바 텐색으로. 토바 추주 다가서 토바게.
토바스도 나
토바등에
얘가 톱세야 들어와. 얘가 톱세야 들어와. 얘가 톱세야 들어와. 이 톱스에 예송에서 혈송에서 세야 들어와. 그래서 톱스도 저러 거지던 톱에 판만 매세도잖아. 아니 톱 묻어버시네. into the later do Yomaris, the top said the page, Chave Dandy Samarwe, Tobe Pama Miss.
서베 파면서 that's so make you 가래 이메네.
어디?
컵자 가래 이메네 넥 팡고
Oh, tell
말고
the Thomas Yesona, and top Mutobashen the day, and the Pandu Maris, Karina top two race or that.
Because I asked Geshe to re-explain what he meant by that in case I mistranslated something there. We found the right stanza there, so it's a good part. In the Tibetan word, I think the word petty is not there. It's simply attainment. So therefore, he said what it really means is if we have junju, joyous perseverance, then you will not be brought down by, which sounds very funny, not right in English, attainment. It means that you will succeed in any kind of attainment, you know. It doesn't, it's qualified by petty or anything, right? So whatever goals, attainments you set for, you will succeed in accomplishing them. So that's what it is. Yeah.
So the top said you then on the top jar told you top as it.
Now you can somebody.
자지로 som나시나 다들 샤워하는 거예요. 가서 존중스럽나? 이제 내가 가르치나 어디 그 수준비에 높다고 그래야 돼.
So you will succeed in basically in your attainment, whatever the attainment is. So it's not qualified by petty or any other things, you know.
Because it actually does make sense in petty attainments because there is a nice symmetry because you'll not be defeated by discouragement or satisfaction.
Right.
Petty attainments, being satisfied with petty attainments. So, but okay.
Sorry, I think he closed his textbook already, so I couldn't ask the next one your question. So, all right, thank you. All right, so any other questions? If not, I have some prayer request here. Even again,
Yes.
Any other questions? Already, if you have a question, please go ahead. No, okay. Okay, then the Texas again, long to Chamber Jene, Shulo Shibichan, Penagin Shibichas again.
Yes.
Dig to make them general Nas again.
Yes.
Sen and dinner and that that Vietnamese in the race again. Vietnam running better than one.
Yes.
Chicken near John up in the Yubda. These only to make them general Nas again.
Yes.
So I have a prayer request. Of course, we all know the hurricane, caused quite a havoc in Houston, Texas, around. So we want to think about the victims of this hurricane and send our thoughts and prayers for them. And then also prayers have been requested for 4 individuals who are all in hospital and in critical conditions, I guess back in Vietnam or Cambodia, somewhere there. Nguyen Van Dung, Thai Van Dung, Nguyen Trang, So Phing Phat. So they are in hospital and critical conditions. Here it says something like, who were attacked with acid yesterday by Vietnamese communists in Cambodia. Something like that, okay. So anyway, so all the peoples in difficult situations, we want to think about them and send our prayers. Tuje gong lao nyun be chom den de zhen dang de be mi lue dong wen se tu zo de sang ye men ye la bu de ya ye wo la cha om be sha ye che be sha ye ma be sha ye sam om be sha ye be sha ye ma be sha ye be zhe samong ba de so kya wa de ye yo do da men be ye won ro je ne do wa de za la ge ba sho cha dong ko le ge be ye bo dong chen dong ge wa sang be sang ye dong a la han de la de zhen ba zhe le se la chang zhe de o ma ne bian bian o ma bian o ma de bian Omani beme ore gewa de nyodo da chere
Wan to yo de
do wa che ya mal de ye za la ge sho kange ro de ye jin de yin da nam da chen ye zong gu ji ji se je ni je to ga
de bo ze ka da se
be
be
zhen
so
ra
ra
ma
ma
de
re
men
men
do
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 nge
nge
ge
je
se
se re do
ro
zo
zo
ge
kun la bo je da ze yan
la
la
to je yang de son do da she do ye mo nye lo
le
le
ye
je
cha
za
zhuo
za
zhen
je
ze
je
jie ma de men ze dong ye niu
je
gu
wo
chen
shi
ye
ye
zhen
je
ze
je
ra
ra
jie
je
na
la
de
de
nian
ne
da
da
jie
ye
sa
da
jue yan de lun zo ya ze tu yue gu
ku
zhu
ra
da
je
zhu
da
da
ju
zhu
ni
ni
ji de
da le men ze jiang bei yang la de Oma Rama Dana di 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 Oma Rama Dana di zhen de jie jie ye ra yu zi ye da lu di mu min ba ra se ga da dian jue shun lu dong ba ye
ye
lo
lo
zhe
je po be na
zhen du zhe lo zhe jia zi yu zhong bei ga di ge san pong wei qu du min ba dian ba
ga
zi
jiao
ma
na
wang
an
du
do
jie
jie
shuo
zhuo
bei
be
zhang
chang yin
nian
si
shu gun jiu so wan de page 21. Obeisance to my Guru and protector Manjushri, who holds at his heart a scriptural text, symbolic of his seeing all things as they are, whose intelligence shines forth as the sun, unclouded by delusions or traces of ignorance, who teaches in 60 ways with the loving compassion of Father for his only Son, all creatures caught in the prison of samsara, confused in the darkness of their ignorance, overwhelmed by their suffering. You whose dragon thunder-like proclamation of Dharma arouses us from the stupor of our delusions and free us from the iron chains of our karma, who wields the sword of wisdom, hewing down suffering wherever sprouts appear, clearing away the darkness of ignorance. You who have been pure from the beginning, who have completed the stages achieving the highest perfection of a bodhisattva, whose princely body is adorned with 112 marks of a Buddha, I bow down to you, Manjushri, Om Arapaza Nadi, O compassionate one, with the brilliance of your wisdom, illuminate the darkness enclosing my mind, enlighten my intelligence and wisdom, so that I may gain insight into Buddha's work and the texts that explain them. 31. Like the sweet perfume of white lotus, born in the ocean of knowledge, nourishing honeybees, the fortunate beings, your fame pervades all directions. You are proficient and powerful in holding. To you, O Lord Sang Tenzing Wangda, respectfully I pray.
Nhất tâm kính lễ Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi, bậc đại trí ngài đều phục hai chướng ngại, tự nhật quan lan tỏa khắp mười phương, bậc thực chứng chân nghĩa màu rốt ráo, từ tim ngài bát nhã kinh thủ hộ nhiệm màu, cõi luân hồi chúng sanh thọ nghiệp báo, bị ngăn che bởi phiền não vô minh, sở hữu 60 pháp âm thủ thắng, cùng đại bi ngài hóa độ chúng sanh, tựa từ mẫu chăm lo cho quý tử. Tiếng rồng vang ngài thức tỉnh hữu tình, thoát khỏi vòng luân hồi nghiệp báo. Tận diệt muôn vàn khổ đau cùng ách nạn, trường tử Như Lai tối thắng toàn giác, ngài an trụ nơi thập địa pháp vân, báu thân ngài trang nghiêm thanh tịnh, 112 tướng hảo Như Lai, đây đầu đảnh lễ Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi, cúi xin ngài tận diệt ám chướng vô minh. Om Arapasanati, con khẩn cầu dưới gót sen bậc đại trí, ban pháp lực diệt phiền não vô minh, được thí sáng con thâm nhập nghĩa màu, pháp vi diệu cùng muôn vàn luận giải, như diệu hương ngọt ngào từ sen trắng, đàn xanh nơi trí thủ thắng đại dương, hàng thiện căn như ông mật thọ nương, hồng danh ngài khắp mười phương quảng bá, đấng thiện xảo vi dũng bảo tồn pháp bảo vô giá. Nam mô Lốp Sang Tenzin Quang Đắc. Xin cung kính trì niệm.
Ten